Now here's a quick question for you. What was hands down the most epic moment of 2018, at least in regards to cinema? Not that. Nope, not that either. No, just no. Why would you even think that? It was easily this.
Bring me Thanos!
Thor arriving in Wakanda was awesome for a few reasons. Not only was the God of Thunder finally back on Earth, flanked by 2 fan-favorite members of the Guardians of the Galaxy no less, but he came packing some serious heat in the form of Stormbreaker. This Thanos-killing kind of weapon was forged in the heart of a dying star, and makes Thor's previous weapon, Mjolnir, look like a child's plaything. But how powerful is Stormbreaker really? What kind of damage can it inflict? Well, in this video, we're gonna take a closer look at this godly weapon and see what we can see. Can't get enough film theories? Well then check out our friends over on Behind the Screen for even more theories, lists, and everything film. Let's start things off by taking a brief look at Stormbreaker's comic origins, because if we're gonna truly grasp this thing's awesome power, it might help to have some kind of background info on it. Cool?
So cool.
Thanks, Thor. Oh, that guy? You know that guy? Yeah, that's Thor. Duh. Well, in the comics, he isn't the only person to have ever wielded Mjolnir. In fact, several other beings have proven themselves worthy enough to wield it. Captain America, Jane Foster, Rogue, and even Superman and Wonder Woman, though I wouldn't think too hard about those last 2 if I were you, have all lifted the mighty hammer. However, one former wielder has managed to stick in comic readers' minds more than any others, and that would be Beta Ray Bill. This horse-looking hero is actually a Corbinite, a race of beings rendered homeless when their planet was destroyed by Surtur. You know, that like big flaming fiery dude from Ragnarok. Bill gained the ability to wield Mjolnir after defeating Thor in combat, which proved Bill's worthiness. If all it takes to prove one's worthiness is beating Thor in combat, does that mean that the Hulk could theoretically lift the hammer?
Welcome, strongest Avenger.
What?
Bill held on to Mjolnir for a little while until he once again bested Thor in combat. This time, he refused to take the god's life despite having every opportunity to. He then returned the weapon to the weakened God of Thunder, believing him its true owner. To reward his worthiness and honor in combat, Odin worked with the dwarves of Nidavellir to create a weapon that Bill could call his own. That weapon was Stormbreaker. Now you see, in the comics, Stormbreaker is basically a golden version of Mjolnir with an axe head on one side. It's capable of a lot of the same feats as Thor's legendary weapon, including being able to be summoned at will, expelling energy blasts, and opening portals to other realms. While no doubt impressive, the comic version of this weapon is a bit of a far cry from what we saw on the big screen. The film version of Stormbreaker does share a fairly similar origin with its comic counterpart, having been created by the Dwarf King Eitri. This Stormbreaker, however, packs quite the wallop. Wallop? Who the heck says wallop? Anyways, the weapon we see on screen appears to be more powerful than Thor's old hammer. It even proved capable of resisting the combined powers of all 6 Infinity Stones during the Battle of Wakanda, which shows just how powerful it must be. We actually did a video about that, you can check it out if you want to. However, in the end, it's just a fancy axe, right? Like, get far enough away from it and it can't really do much to you? Well, that's where you're wrong. When Eitri spoke in the film about the weapon's power, he didn't talk about its ability to help channel Thor's thunder powers, or how much wood it could theoretically chop. No, he specifically mentioned one thing, that Stormbreaker could be used to summon the Bifrost. Have you sort of figured out where I'm going with this yet? Take a second to think back to the final act of the original Thor. What exactly was Loki's whole plan? Well, he intended to open the Bifrost on Jotunheim, the home of the frost giants, and keep it open. Doing this would basically cause the entire planet to be torn apart piece by piece. That's some pretty terrifying power when it's contained within a structure as large as the one that we saw at the end of that film. Now, however, the power to do such a thing is held within a simple axe that can be held by just some dude. Basically, what we're talking about here is an axe-sized Death Star. Now, Thor is probably the least likely person in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe to to ever use Stormbreaker in such a way. I guess Cap probably wouldn't either, because he's such a Boy Scout. But just knowing that Stormbreaker could destroy the entire Earth is kind of terrifying to think about. You know what's even scarier though? The idea of Stormbreaker falling into the hands of a villain. But wait a second, you're probably thinking, villains couldn't possibly use Stormbreaker. They aren't worthy. They can't even lift the thing. Well, I hate to say it, but the idea that somebody needs to be worthy to pick up Stormbreaker is kind of false. On Twitter, when asked if Groot was worthy since he was able to lift the weapon in the forge, directors of Infinity War, Anthony and Joe Russo, simply responded, quote, Mjolnir required worthiness, not Stormbreaker, meaning that theoretically anyone could just pick it up and feasibly summon the Bifrost, bringing an end to an entire world. Luckily, I don't really see anyone taking the axe away from Thor anytime soon. That would be kind of a tall order. I mean, even Thanos kind of lost when he went up against Thor when he was wielding the axe. Thanos was lucky to survive his last encounter with Stormbreaker in Infinity War, but something tells us that he won't quite be so lucky in Endgame. And don't forget, if you like this type of content, you'll be sure to love our brand new channel Behind the Screen, where we will go even more in-depth about inner workings of your favorite movies. Go head over there and let them know that we sent you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the movies.